Alrighty, so this is a pattern that I have fished for a long time, and has been one of the staples in my box for years and years. And a lot of people have been on me to tie this one and do it as a demo and a step-by-step video. So here you go. This is the polar leech. It's a very simple little streamer, thrown really as a micro streamer or as a leech. But the leech has got a little bit different, just a little bit different feel to it, and so it's got a little more flash to it. It's got a little bit more movement in the water than some of your pine squirrel leeches and things that you might be used to throwing. And I developed this color combination and this pattern quite a while ago up on the North Platte River, and just as a little bit bigger leech option, but also I do very, very well on this for a little micro streamer on some of the smaller freestones and tailwaters that we have around northern Colorado. But this thing just hunts, and it's a great little pattern. So this is a size 8 B10S. The reason I do it on this hook is it's a great little smallmouth pattern, and a great little even largemouth pattern, little panfish pattern. It's a great multi-species pattern, and so I do them in a small size, but I like the bigger gap on it and just a little bit stouter hook. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little micro cone on here. And these little micro cones are not to achieve depth. What they're really for is to break the surface tension, because the reason I did it this way is that this is a fantastic swing fly, and taking a little, even a single hand rod or just a little switch rod and throwing this thing on some of our smaller waters, it was just it's a lot of fun. And so doing this little micro cone is just enough to break the surface tension, just enough to get the thing going underneath the water and get it fishing. And so I'm going to take some brown thread, and actually I'm going to switch up to a heavier thread than what I've got on my bobbin right now. I'm going to go to a 140 denier. Brown thread, and this is probably my favorite color combination that I do of this. I fish this in a lot of different color combinations, but the natural and copper, or natural and rust, is one of my favorite color combinations to throw on this. I just think it does a great job of blending through multiple color schemes. So like I said, it's a very simple fly, to tie, but just a really effective pattern. So pine squirrel leech, or pine squirrel material. Now I buy this in the full skins and then zonk it myself. I get a little bit thinner hide that way. It's not quite as thick of a hide as some of the commercially available ones, where you get this white. It's also tanned to where it's a brown color. Now you can do that, but you can see how much thicker that is than the full skins. So I tend to prefer to get my own skins and then zonk it out myself, and that way I can control size as well. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to just nip off the corners of the end of this. It's just kind of gets it moving a little bit better. Also just going to kind of break up some of the tissue there, just make sure that it's nice and flexible. Okay, I want the hide of this to be just a little bit longer than a shank length. Now this is a short shank hook, being a B10S, so there's not a lot of tying room on here, but just a little bit longer than a shank length. Okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to tie it in just like I would any zonker. I'm going to split the hair, and I'm going to pull this down. Now the key component to getting this thing to stay. Now I see a lot of people that'll crank on this and then they'll let go of their bobbin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold hold the hide on my side, and I'm going to stretch that thread and make sure that it's right on top of there. Now, I am not going to let go of that thread. I'm going to get it right seated on top, keep that tension on the thread, pull the hide back, and wrap forward. What that does, that locks down those thread wraps moving forward and doesn't allow that that hide to slip. Okay, I'm going to take some polar chenille. This is the UV rusty copper, and I'm going to tie it up right back to that point, and I'm going to go about to the 80% mark. Okay, now this is full length, and it's a little too long for what I want it to be, because that would go past where the tail is. But I'm going to wrap it full first, and what I'm going to do is I'm putting a large amount of space in between each wrap. I'm keeping it tight, but I'm putting a large amount of space in between. So that whole shank, I only got, what was that, 2.5, 3 wraps total. Okay, it's really easy to overdress this, and I don't want that. I want it to be nice and sparse and just give a little bit of flash in here. Okay, now I'm going to take all of these fibers and I'm going to pull them up and get all the fibers up, and then I'm just going to cut a little more than the hook gap. Okay, now you can buy the medium length, and I've found that the medium length chenille is maybe just a little bit short, and the full length chenille is just a little bit long. So this is the best way that I can tell you to do that. Okay, now I'm going to take this this hide, and I'm just going to pull it right over the top, just like you would on your pine squirrel leech. And I'm going to split the hair here, and I'm going to capture it. I'm going to put another wrap right on top of that, and again I'm going to hold this backside. I'm going to stretch my thread so that it's biting down into that, and without losing tension, I'm going to wrap that forward. Okay, so this is where that thinner hide really helps, is that you can get a little more color in here with the thinner hide than you can with the thicker hide. Okay, that if you bought it in the store or in the pre-zonked strips. Now you can search through and use the mini strips if you'd like. That is definitely a possibility. Okay, so I got two nice full wraps in there. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna capture it. I'm gonna pull it down towards kind of at a 45-degree angle towards the front of the fly. What it's gonna do is it's gonna set my thread forward to suck it into that cone. Okay, so I can take my thumbnail and really kind of jam that into the cone and set that cone, and then the last thing I'm going to do is just give a little bit of a collar of thread there. Okay, now while this is dry, it makes it a little bit hard to see some of that flash, but when this thing gets wet, you get an internal flash as this thing moves and breathes, and it really gives some depth to the fly. Now the last thing I'm going to do is put a collar on here, and this is SLF Prism Dubbing in a hare's ear. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and finger stack this hare's ear dubbing, so that I get all the fibers really parallel to each other. I don't want anything perpendicular. Okay, so I get a nice clump of this prism dubbing. I'm going to take, and I'm going to bring it out and make a little bit of a clump here, and I'm going to put it as the same length as that collar. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my fingers all the way around and take my thread, and I'm going to capture that bundle. I'm going to give 2 light wraps, and then I'm going to cinch down. Okay, so that has distributed that flash 360 degrees all the way around the fly. Now I can grasp my fingers in front and pull that back and put a couple turns in front here. And what that allows me to do is create this flashy veil over the top of that pine squirrel collar. Go ahead and whip finish. And you get this nice flashy collar on a pine squirrel leech with that little bit of rust in the backside. And when this thing gets wet, it just has the most slimy, cool looking colors to it. That just it's just a beautiful little fly in the water, moves like crazy, and fish just will not leave it alone. And like I said, works as a leech, works as a little micro streamer. You can strip it, you can dead drift it, you can swing it. One of my favorite ways to fish this is on a shank with a trailer hook out the backside, and make it a little bit of a swing fly shank style streamer, and just an awesome little pattern to fish on some smaller water. So if I can help in any way, please let me know. Tie some up. Enjoy. Regal Engineering, makers of the finest fly tying vices and accessories. Find more information at RockyMountainFlyDesign.com.